What is going on, guys? How we doing? It's your boy J Love coming back at you with another video. But like always, before we start this video, let's get that intro, boys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for supporting me. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jason. We own a hotshot company. We've had it going for roughly about 4.5 months now. We have 2 setups on the road, but we're always growing. We also have a dispatch service. So we're learning every day more about the trucking industry, more about hotshot. So I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're part of this video, and I hope you can take something away. Now, that being said, guys, today in this video, I'm going to talk about some reasons of why not to get into non-CDL hotshot, okay? Now, I know this is kind of a touchy subject because a lot of people are trying to start non-CDL hotshot, and they ask a lot of questions about it, and they're always asking me questions about it in my DMs, like tons of questions, and so I'm always answering them. And that's one of the reasons I started the Patreon, I started everything, is because I realized how many people wanted information, how many people were asking multiple people, how many people weren't receiving answers. So through the Patreon, it's a way for me to be able to answer everybody's questions, but not really be a waste of my time, so everything works out, right? But really, I want to talk about some reasons not to get into non-CDL. If you guys know about us, first off, we were going to go semi-truck and trailer, but it didn't really work out for us off the bat. And so we heard about hotshot. We ended up buying an F350. We were going to go CDL. We didn't even think there was a non-CDL option until I watched a video by good old Toe Piglet, who gave me the non-CDL route. And I was like, holy crap, we can do this, right? And so we did it. And we've been on the road ever since. But both our setups are driven by people with commercial driver's license. That's something that's important. But we do run setups that are rated for 26,000 pounds or under, or what most people call them, non-CDL setups. Okay, but the first reason, guys, I would say to not do non-CDL is the weight issue. Okay, now I'm not gonna lie, guys. Sorry, let me fix this real quick. I'm not gonna lie. There's freight out there, okay? Even for non-CDL setups rated for 26,000, under 26,000 pounds, 26,000 pounds and under, better put. But you guys need to realize that when you derate your trailer, because most likely you're going to have to, if you buy a dually truck, you have a truck with a GVWR of 14,000 pounds, F350 or 3,500, you rate your trailer at 12,000 pounds, guys. So, your setup might weigh 16,000 pounds, which gives you the opportunity to haul 10,000 pounds. But there's sometimes, guys, where even though you might only be hauling 6, 7, 8, or 9,000 pounds, that you're going to overload one of your axles, whether that be your trailer axles or the rear axles of your truck, right? Because a lot of people, when they have the shorter trailers, some people are getting into this with 30-foot trailers, 28-foot trailers, 32-foot trailers. The only problem there is that because you're derating the trailer, you can't really put that much weight over the trailer axles. So if the trailer axles are sitting at 6,000 pounds unloaded and they're rated for 12,000 pounds, you can only put 6,000 pounds over those axles, right? So if you have a load that's 10 feet, 9,500 pounds, chances are you're going to either overload your trailer axles or you're going to overload the rear axles of your truck. And so we've had to move weight around a good amount of times on our non-CDL setups when we're starting to push the 26,000 pound mark, because if we put too much weight over our trailer axles, they're going to be overloaded, which is going to put us basically overweight, guys. So even though you might be able to pull 10,000 pounds or to load 10,000 pounds and be under 26,000 pounds, there's a good chance that you might overload one of your axles, depending if it's your trailer axles or the rear axle of your truck. So keep that in mind. And that'd probably be the first reason I'd say to stay away from non-CDL hotshot, because it is a major hassle when you're trying to book these loads that weigh more, that pay more usually, and are usually the total loads when it comes to non-CDL hotshot. And so they're going to pay you pretty good, the dedicated loads. You can overload your trailer pretty easily just because you can't haul that much weight in the first place. So I'd say that's probably the first reason to stay away, is just because of the weight issue. Now, the second reason I would say to stay away from non-CDL hotshot is because of how much flack you're going to get from the weigh stations. Now, this is something I'm starting to realize. Because you don't have IFTA or IRP, you're going to be looked at a lot more. You know, a lot of people are going to look at your setup and be like, why don't you have apportion plates? You know, or why don't you have this? And you start telling them, right? They're like, oh, you're doing this. And then, you know, they're going to like look over everything, trying to figure out why you don't have IRP, or why you don't have IFTA. And they're going to be looking, and most likely you're going to find something small that's wrong with your setup. They're going to give you more inspections, right? And so it's going to lead to more infractions. You know, it could be really, really small things, you know. And you could have all your ducks in a line and everything, and then before you know it, you know, they're finding small things wrong that you didn't even think about, right? So you're going to get a lot more flack at the weigh station just because of that. And we've been pulled in a good amount of times just to buy permits, guys. Now, a lot of people think, oh, what states do I have to buy permits in? And I'm like, well, if you don't have IRP, chances are you got to buy permits in a lot of states. Now, so far, we've bought permits in Arizona, New Mexico. We just bought permits in Idaho today. Oregon always wants you to buy permits. And when we talk to these people, they basically tell us it's because you don't have IRPs, because you're not apportioned, you know. So they want to make their money off of you, you know. So that's how they do it. They do it through charging permits, right? So you're going to get pulled into a lot more weigh stations just so they can sell you a permit, which in the long run is going to lead to more inspections. And inspections aren't bad, but with how these trailers are made, and we'll get to that, you know, and with you probably hauling, you know, going hard and doing everything you need to and stuff, like their chances are they're going to find little things that they can like mark you down on, because like a lot of people say, if the DOT is really looking, they're going to find something, some rule in the back of the book that nobody knows, and you're going to get infractions, right, if they're trying to give you those infractions, right? So that's the second reason, guys. It's just you're going to get a lot of flack from DOT officers. You're going to get a lot of flack from weigh stations. It's just the truth of it, guys, especially when you're new, you know, and you're still learning. You can get a good amount of infractions because of stuff that you never even thought about or nobody told you about, right? So non-CDL in that sense is a pretty big bummer. You're going to pay a lot of money, and you're going to pay probably a lot more money in buying permits because you don't have apportion plates than you would in buying apportion plates. So keep that in mind, guys. Now, the third reason I would stay away from Non-Cdl Hotshot is because of how these trailers are built, guys. So when you're doing Non-Cdl Hotshot, you don't want a trailer that's super heavy duty, right? It's going to have a high GVWR, and you're not going to be able to use it. It's going to weigh too much and cause you not to be able to put a lot of weight on it. So you're going to buy, you know, this trailer that's like dual axle, 7,000 pound axles, 8,000 pound axles, maybe. You're looking for probably 40 feet, you know, so a long trailer. And they're just not made that well. They're going to be pretty cheap usually. You probably get them for $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, maybe even more cost effective than that. And so they're not going to be made that well. They're not going to be wired that well. They're not going to be made to do what you're going to do with them, which is take them cross country back and forth all the time and put thousands of miles on them. So the wiring is going to fault out, you know, your lights are going to go out all the time, which is going to cause you to get more infractions. Your axles are going to be having a lot of weight on them all the time. Like, so think about it. If you have 14,000 pound axles, right? Let's say you don't even derate the trailer. You know, let's say your truck's GVWR is 12,000, your trailer's GVWR is 14,000, and you only weigh 15,000 pounds unloaded. You know, you possibly can put, you know, 11,000 pounds on that trailer. You know, but those trailer axles already have like 6,000 pounds on them, so you're going to be maxing out those trailer axles. You know, plus having to put some weight up front so you don't overload them, and you're going to be doing that all the time. You know, so those trailer axles are always going to be under a high amount of stress going for multiple miles because, you know, because how much weight you're going to put on there so you can make the most money. But they're not made for that, guys. When you buy a more heavy duty trailer, maybe something with 10,000 pound axles or 11,000 pound axles, those trailers are going to be able to handle any non-CDL freight, or you can say non-CDL freight or freight that doesn't weigh that much, a lot easier, you know. And then every now and then when you do max them out, you know, they're going to be able to handle that too. But when you have a non-CDL trailer, a trailer with like 7,000 or 8,000 pound axles, chances are you're going to get close to maxing them out a lot of times, which is going to put a lot of strain on them, which is ultimately going to lead to more breakdowns or more repairs that are going to be needed, right? So that's probably the third reason I say to stay away from Non-CDL Hotshot. It's just because of that, guys. The trailers that we're buying to do for this are not made for it, and they're going to have a lot of problems in the long run, which is going to cause you to put more money into the business, you know, when you can just buy a heavy duty trailer to begin with, invest a little bit more, and it's going to last you a lot longer. Now, the fourth reason I say to stay away from Non-CDL Hotshot is because in the long run, guys, it is a lot more work. Now, a lot of people think I'm going to do it because it's easier, right? You don't have to have a commercial driver's license, or you don't have to do XYZ. That's not true, guys. I mean, that's true. You don't have to have a commercial driver's license, but it's not true that's easier, right? So first off was dispatching, right? Right now I'm dispatching 4 or 5 trucks, and they're all non-CDL. And so I'm always looking for this specific type of freight that can fit on the trailer, but also pays enough for me to take it, right? And I mean, there is freight out there, and we find it a lot of times. Excuse me, sorry. But, you know, I have to spend a lot more time on the computer, or the guy I hire has to spend a lot more time on the computer, or you, if you're driving the truck, have to spend a lot more time on the computer finding the specific freight that is going to work for you. Okay? And that's not easier, you know? And then you look at like the logistics side of it. How many questions are there out there about non-CDL Hotshot that wouldn't exist if we didn't have non-CDL Hotshot? Like all this weight debacle, all this gray area talk, all these, can I do this, can I do that? What to say here, what to say there, what about this state, what about that state? Like all that stuff would go out the window if we didn't have non-CDL, because it just doesn't exist, right? Because those questions are answered through IRP, through IFTA, through all these different things they have in place when you do a setup rated for more than 26,000 pounds. So you're gonna spend a lot of time trying to find out answers to questions that you wouldn't have, you know, if you just had a CDL setup, you know, or a setup rated for over 26,000 pounds. So obviously that's going to take a lot more time, guys. So I want you guys to kind of realize these 4 things, you know. Obviously, I'm not trying to push anybody away from non-CDL. It's what we do, and I think there's a good amount of money in it. But I think we all need to be on the same page that it's not going to last forever, okay? It's basically a loophole, guys. Like, there's nothing stopping good old President Biden to make a law stating that any vehicle with a GVWR of 10,000 pounds or more operated commercially needs to be driven by somebody with a CDL. And how many of our companies would be in a struggle or be inoperable because of that law? You know, obviously I put guys in there with CDLs, but you know, how many of us would be there? So we need to have our foot on the transitional pedal and be ready to change. Obviously, if you're going to get into any sort of logistical company, if you're going to get into any sort of trucking company, you know, your mind should be looking towards the future. You should be thinking, how many trucks can I get, you know, building the best truck, best trailer setup that can haul the most weight and be the most efficient. You know, that should be what you want, you know, to keep costs down. And, you know, I would say that's not non-CDL. And we should always have our minds pointing to the future, where we're going, what we're building, but always be here in the present, working hard to build the image, the empire that we want to build. But I hope you guys can learn something from this. Like I said, I'm not trying to push anybody away, but let's just have these things in mind. And let's just do it the right way, guys. Love you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Before you go, I want to give a big shout out to everybody who follows me, supports me on Patreon. If you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon channel. You can go check it out. Basically what it is, if you sign up for my Patreon, you get my phone number. You can text me all the different questions you have about Hotshot. I can try to answer as many as possible. I can also offer you one-on-one guidance when you're starting your Hotshot company, because I just did it. So I just went through everything and I kind of help you guys out. But thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys for everybody who subscribed to the channel. I love you guys so much, and I hope you all have a great day.